Hello everyone, today I'm going to share with you a psychological truth you're not prepared for. If you suffered a lot during childhood, your adult personality isn't normal. It's an adaptation to pain. And the most disturbing part is that most people never realize this. Psychologists call these early adaptations to trauma. And while they helped you survive as a child, today they might be sabotaging your relationships, your self-esteem, and your mental peace. Trait 1. Hyper self-sufficiency. People who suffered a lot in childhood often develop extreme independence. They don't ask for help. They don't fully trust. They don't allow themselves to need anyone. From the outside, they seem strong. But psychologically, this comes from a clear wound. They learned that depending on others was dangerous or useless. Psychology tells us that when a child doesn't receive consistent emotional support, their brain learns this. If I lean on someone, they will disappoint me. So, in adulthood, your mind prefers to carry everything alone, even if it exhausts you. Your brain isn't being prideful, it's being cautious. Extreme self-sufficiency isn't pure strength. It's a survival strategy that never got updated. And here's what makes this so painful. You built walls so high that even you can't climb over them anymore. You tell yourself you don't need anyone, but deep down, there's a part of you that's screaming for connection. A part that's tired of being strong all the time. But asking for help feels like weakness. Showing vulnerability feels like danger. So you keep going, carrying burdens that were meant to be shared, wondering why you feel so alone even when people are around you. The truth is, you're not being strong, you're being exhausted. And this exhaustion is slowly draining the color from your life. This next trait explains why many people who are strong on the outside feel incredibly lonely on the inside. Trait 2. Emotional hypervigilance. If you grew up in an unpredictable environment, you developed the ability to read micro-gestures, silences, and changes in tone. You know when someone is upset even before they say it. You detect tension in the atmosphere instantly. This isn't magical intuition. This is hypervigilance. Psychologists explain that children who lived through chronic stress learn to constantly scan their environment to anticipate emotional danger. The problem is that in adulthood, your nervous system never turns off. Your mind believes that staying alert keeps you safe, but the reality is that it keeps you tired, anxious, and over-analyzing everything. You're not exaggerating. You're hyper-trained to survive. Think about it. While other people walk into a room and just exist, you walk in and immediately start reading the room. Who's upset? Who's pretending? What's the tension about? You're like an emotional detective who never clocks out. And the exhausting part, you can't turn it off, even in safe spaces, even with people you trust. You're still scanning, still analyzing, still preparing for the next emotional threat. People might call you too sensitive or overthinking everything, but they don't understand. This isn't a choice. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do, keep you safe at all costs. The cost, unfortunately, is your peace. If this is making you uncomfortable, good. It means we're touching something real. Let's continue. Trait 3. Difficulty enjoying the present. Many people who suffered in childhood don't know how to fully relax. Even in good moments, something inside them thinks, this isn't going to last. The traumatized brain doesn't seek happiness, it seeks predictability. And when calm appears, the brain goes on alert because it's not used to it. That's why it's hard for you to enjoy without guilt. That's why you're always thinking about what could go wrong. It's not negativity, It's a brain that learned that calm precedes the blow. You finally get that promotion you worked so hard for, but instead of celebrating, you're already worried about the increased responsibility. You're in a beautiful moment with someone you love, but you can't fully be there because part of you is waiting for the other shoe to drop. Good things feel temporary. Happiness feels suspicious. Peace feels like the calm before the storm. And the cruelest part? This robs you of joy in real time. You can't fully celebrate victories because you're already bracing for defeat. You can't fully trust good moments because your brain is convinced they're just set up for disappointment. You're not ungrateful. You're not pessimistic. You're just a person whose childhood taught them that good things don't last. So why get attached? But here's what that costs you. A life half-lived. Moments you were present for physically, but absent from emotionally. Memories that could have been beautiful, but are clouded by anxiety. And this trait is one of the most invisible, but also one of the most destructive in relationships. Trait 4. Ambivalent or disorganized attachment. You want closeness, but when someone gets too close, you feel uncomfortable. You fear abandonment, but you also fear emotional dependence. According to attachment psychology, this happens when the caregiver was a source of both love and pain at the same time. Your mind associated bonding with security and insecurity simultaneously. That's why sometimes you distance yourself without clear reason, or you test people to see if they'll stay, or you attach yourself to emotionally unstable relationships, not because you like drama, but because your nervous system recognizes that pattern. Let me paint this picture more clearly. You meet someone wonderful. They're kind, consistent, and genuinely care about you. And what do? You start looking for problems. You push them away to see if they will come back. You create tests they don't even know they're taking. Or the opposite happens. You meet someone who's emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, hot and cold. And suddenly you're hooked. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because this chaos feels familiar. Your nervous system says, yes, I know this dance. Healthy love feels boring. Stable relationships feel suffocating. Consistent affection feels suspicious. So you sabotage the good ones and chase the unavailable ones. And then you wonder why you can't seem to find peace in relationships. It's not that you're broken, it's that your blueprint for love was written in a language of inconsistency. And now, as an adult, you're trying to build healthy relationships with a faulty instruction manual. The most painful part? You know you're doing it, you can see the pattern, but knowing doesn't make it easier to stop. And this last trait is the one most often confused with personality. Trait 5. Extreme self-criticism and excessive responsibility. People who suffered a lot in childhood often feel responsible for everything. For other people's emotional states, for problems, for keeping the peace. Many emotionally wounded children learned this. If something goes wrong, it's my fault. That internal dialogue never left. That's why you're hard on yourself. That's why it's difficult for you to forgive minimal mistakes. That's why you feel like you're never enough. It's not healthy demanding. It's unconscious loyalty to a childhood version of yourself that had to grow up too fast. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. You feel guilty when others are upset, even when you did nothing wrong. You carry the weight of other people's emotions like they're your responsibility. And the worst part, you've become your own harshest critic. The voice in your head is crueler than any bully you ever faced. It tells you you're not good enough, not working hard enough, not trying hard enough. Other people make mistakes and move on. But when you make a mistake, it becomes evidence that you're fundamentally flawed. Evidence that you need to try harder. Evidence that you can't relax because the moment you do, everything will fall apart. You hold yourself to impossible standards because somewhere deep inside, you still believe that if you're just perfect enough, good enough, responsible enough, then finally you'll be safe. Finally, you'll be worthy. Finally, you'll be enough. But here's the truth. You were always enough. You just learned you weren't when you were too young to question it. The truth no one tells you. Before we continue, I want to pause here for a moment. If you've made it this far, something inside you recognizes this truth, and that recognition, that's the first step toward healing. But you can't heal alone. You need community. You need people who understand. So right now, hit that subscribe button. Click the notification bell. Because every week, I bring you content that doesn't just scratch the surface. It goes deep into the psychology of why we are the way we are. Leave a comment sharing which trait resonated with you most. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to feel less alone. And hit that like button. Not for me, but because it helps this message reach more people who need to understand they're not broken, they're adapted. Now, let's talk about what you can do with this information. Here's the truth that no one tells you. These traits are not defects. They are intelligent adaptations to a difficult environment. Your child self did what they had to do to survive. And it worked. You're here. You made it. But what saved you in the past doesn't have to control your future. Here's what most people get wrong about healing. They think they need to fix themselves. They attack these traits like they're enemies. But you can't heal by going to war with yourself. These parts of you, the hypervigilant part, the self-sufficient part, the critical part, they were trying to protect you. They still are. They just don't realize the danger has passed. So the first step isn't to destroy these parts. It's to thank them, to acknowledge what they did for you, and then gently to let them know, I've got it from here. You can rest now. If you want to start breaking this cycle, the first step is simple but powerful. Stop attacking yourself for reactions your mind created to protect you. Healing doesn't begin by correcting yourself. It begins by understanding yourself. When you feel that hypervigilance kicking in instead of thinking, why am I like this? Try thinking, what is my nervous system trying to protect me from right now? When you push someone away, instead of calling yourself self-destructive, ask, what does closeness feel dangerous to the part of me that's afraid? When you can't enjoy good moments, instead of forcing happiness, acknowledge, my brain is trying to keep me safe by staying alert. But right now, I am safe. This is called self-compassion, and research shows it's more effective than self-criticism in creating lasting change. The journey forward. I'm not going to lie to you and say, this is easy. Rewiring patterns that were formed in childhood takes time. It takes patience. It takes support. Some days you'll make progress. Some days you'll fall back into old patterns. And that's okay. Healing isn't linear. It's messy. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes 3 steps back. But here's what I want you to remember. Every moment of awareness is a victory. Every time you catch yourself in an old pattern and think, oh, that's the childhood adaptation talking, that's growth. Every time you ask for help, even though it feels impossible, that's courage. Every time you let yourself enjoy a moment without waiting for it to end, that's healing. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. You survived something difficult, and that gave you strength. Now, the work is learning to use that strength, not just to survive, but to actually live. You are not broken. Let me be very clear about something. You are not damaged goods. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too much or too difficult or too messed up. You are a person who adapted brilliantly to difficult circumstances, and now you're learning to adapt to better ones. That takes courage. That takes strength. That takes the very qualities that got you through childhood in the first place. The difference is, now you get to choose. You get to decide which adaptations still serve you and which ones you're ready to let go of. You get to decide what kind of adult you want to be, rather than being held hostage by the child you had to be. And that freedom, that's worth fighting for. Final words. If this video put into words something you've always felt but never knew how to explain, you're not alone. Millions of people carry these same patterns, the same wounds, the same adaptations. But awareness is the beginning of change. And by watching this video, by recognizing yourself in these traits, you've already taken the first step. So here's what I want you to do. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Turn on notifications, because we're building a community here of people who are done pretending everything is fine and ready to do the real work of understanding themselves. Leave a comment below. Tell me which trait hit home the hardest. Share your story. You never know who needs to hear it. And if you want to dive even deeper, I'm leaving you another video here where I explain why it's so hard for you to make friends. It's going to surprise you. I'll see you there. Remember, what saved you then doesn't have to limit you now. You survived. Now it's time to thrive. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.